In today's video, I'm going to get straight to the point. Treat reading books like professional athletes treat their workouts. Reading books can help with a lot of things. Want a better career? Books can help. Want to launch a business? My library is full of books on the subject. Want to grow your business? Well, there's books for that too. The idea behind today's video is really simple, but its impact can be profound. Hi, I'm Nick Beliveau. I'm an entrepreneur, a speaker, and a photographer. On this channel, I speak about stuff I'm passionate about to help you be more organized, to perform better, and to get more out of life. So I've always heard, oh, read, but it was hard for me to get into reading. As a kid, I didn't really enjoy it, and it's really throughout my 20s that I realized the impact it could have. Throughout my 20s, I read more and more, but now that I'm in my 30s, I realized that I have to have a different philosophy around reading and really try to professionalize how I go about reading. And that's really the idea of today's video. How to shift your mindset to see reading as something that's fun to do, as something that you really should be doing if you want to perform better and be the best version of yourself, both professionally and personally. For me, what really created that mindset shift is when we look at how athletes treat their workouts.
To maintain my level in football, gym is part of my job. Consistency. Most important is to do it.
It's really part of their job. If they're not working out, they're not going to be performing on the field, in competitions, or at the Olympics. Training is the bedrock of everything they do, and that's how then they perform and win these titles and these championships.
If you're not training, you're not going to be able to keep up. And so I kind of brought that same mentality to the game of golf.
If you're not always keeping this sharp, you're going to be falling behind. And for me, what I realize when I am reading more, when I'm in a period that I'm able to read consistently, get through maybe a couple of books a month, well, I'm better able at connecting the dots. I'm more creative, more organized, more focused, and it just makes everything more enjoyable because I feel I'm performing at a higher level simply because I'm reading more. So if we consider that reading should be part of your job if you want to be performing better, well, I think it's important, like I mentioned, to professionalize it. I want to dig into how you could go about that. Well, there's a first step, which is the before actually reading, figuring out which books you want to read, which books you should be reading, and keeping track of all that. For myself, I started creating a spreadsheet because I get recommendations from friends, from other books I read, or from YouTube videos on books that would be interesting. Over time, that list piles up and I forget what I was recommended or who recommended to me or why I was kind of interested in that title. So now keeping track of that is really important for me to be able to come back to it maybe months later after a given recommendation and to remember, well, who recommended it, why I was interested in reading about it, and always building that list so I never run out of ideas of what I want to be reading next. I think it's also really important to figure out how to make it easy for you to make reading a habit, figuring out when's the best time for you to read. For me, it's generally first thing in the morning when I wake up. I do a little workout and then I'm able to dedicate 20-30 minutes to my book and have that moment of peace and quiet before checking my emails or going on my phone. For you, that might be different, but just understanding when you're able to focus and when you're able to dedicate a bit of time to be able to just be with yourself and the book is really important. So when I speak about professionalizing reading, it's also about when you're reading itself, how to be a pro at reading. And this comes down to maybe taking notes, highlighting certain paragraphs, writing down quotes that you find really interesting in the book into a document somewhere. So figuring out a system that works for you and implementing that every time you read. So treating it like work, although it's very fun, and just making sure that you're structured in your approach of reading will enable you to get more out of it at the end of the day. Now, obviously here I'm talking more about business books, personal development books, books on psychology, or even biographies. You can have the same approach to fantasy novels. I know some people are very adamant on highlighting certain paragraphs and trying to understand the whole world around fantasy. That's cool too, but the focus is really, for me at least, and what I'm interested in is more business books, personal development books, and all that good stuff. Finally, consistency is super important. That's really the name of the game for anything, whether that's your diet, your fitness, your mental health. Consistency and trying to keep a regular schedule will just help you perform better. So trying to stick to something, maybe it's not reading every day, maybe it's twice a week to start, maybe it's only once a week, or even more spread out than that. Whatever you're able to start with, I think is just a great habit to develop, because yeah, reading books, everyone says it, and I believe it to be true as well. It really helps you move forward and to grow, to absorb new ideas. And the last thing I want to finish on is just writing a book is a huge project. So the ideas that are generally contained in books were pondered over for quite some time. We're just reading through it rather quick, but the hours that go into writing the whole volume, and just the time taken to be able to think through what needs to go into this book, I find it's fascinating. And to be able to just absorb that knowledge in a short amount of time from the whole life experience perhaps the author needed to be able to come up with it is pretty cool. One last tip I want to share that I've learned of recently, and it's so silly, but I never considered it myself, is to take the whole number of pages in a book, let's say there's 300 pages, and you divide that by 7 or by 10. Let's say 10 to make it easy. So 30 pages, and that means if you read 30 pages every day for 10 days, you're done the book. Divide by 7, roughly 40. You read it 40 pages every day, and you're done the book in a week. Simple math, just something I've never really considered to do, but perhaps that might help you get through books a bit quicker by keeping that rhythm and knowing how many pages to read every day. I hope this perhaps shifts your mentality on books. If you don't read a lot, hopefully it might encourage you to try to read a bit more. But yeah, it's something I've come to appreciate and have a great fondness towards, and I hope maybe this might have moved the dial for you. So that's it, short video, and if you want to see more like this, you could check these out. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.